Now, how does that work? Is it the tenant gives the landlord the ability or the right to be able to report their rent? And how do you set that up? Like, how easy is that to do?
Well, one, so if you're having your tenant, if you want to have your tenant have their good payment history being reported, you just create a lease on the Front Lobby platform, and then you can send an email to the tenant. The tenant gives consent through the platform. You can also download Front Lobby's lease clauses and application clauses off of their website and include it within your leases to have their their payments reported as on time and in full. Or if you don't need
All right, Kayla, we are back. And on today's show, I want to talk about rent reporting because obviously there's been some big changes there where it seems to be they're kind of standardizing it and making it now industry standard to do this, which I think is a good thing. So let's dive into that. But before we do, I know you also work for Front Lobby. So why don't you maybe kind of just share what Front Lobby is, what does it do? Because there's a lot of great tools in there that I think a lot of landlords that have been in the game for a long time may not even know about it, even myself.
Yeah.
So why don't we dive into that first, and then we'll dive into the rent reporting because I think it's important.
Well, I started off being a landlord in Ontario, and I had to do some digging, and then we found Landlord Credit Bureau, and off of Landlord Credit Bureau became Front Lobby.
So when did Landlord Credit Bureau start, and when did you find that?
2012.
Oh, so it's been around for a long time.
Yeah, so that was just like the bureau, because a lot of people don't understand, like you can't just have a bad tenant list. Like you need to have the good and the negatives.
Right.
And so now when you work in like a bureau, you can't just go like, unless you're like a big guy. So you need to have like the consumer reporting agency, which that is what Front Lobby is. Okay. So that is a way for landlords to be able to report their tenants' monthly payment history. They can also report debt going back 6 years, and you can also conduct your own credit. So many landlords are pulling credit checks from like the tenant. So the tenant will give the landlord their credit. If it's like, oh, look, it's on a phone, or like, here's the copy of it. It's like, don't. Right. Any landlord that I talk to that has gotten burned by a professional tenant, it was because they didn't even know that they had fraudulent material in front of them.
Right. And especially now, in this day and age, and with AI and ChatGPT and so much different automation out there, that is so easy to create these reports. You can create your fake, credit reports and pay stubs and job letters, and so you got to be pulling some of these things yourself, right? And using the tools that Front Lobby has to offer.
Well, and that's the thing. Like when we look at like how do we adapt it in, because you can help build your tenants' credit, especially with the downturn that we're seeing right now with looking for quality tenants. But we also can now advertise that we help you build your credit by renting off of us. So it's not just like as a threat. Like if you're I'm just wanting to let you know that your rent needs to be paid on time and in full. If not, I can report you not only to one, not two, but 3 credit bureaus. This is what you need to make sure they clearly understand, and you're setting that consequence down. But you can also turn it as a good thing to put in your rental ad, how we can actually get those tenants attracted to your unit a little bit easier, because maybe they're at a 700, maybe they want to get themselves up past 800 so that they can qualify for a mortgage themselves.
Right.
So that's where it works with Front Lobby. You don't have to have your tenants pay rent through the platform in order to report. It's always up to the landlord. It gives the landlord the power to do it at their discretion.
Right. And what are the 3 reporting agencies, just in case people don't know?
Landlord Credit Bureau, Equifax, and now TransUnion.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's going to be... this is where it was exciting. It was exciting news, because now when you get all the credit bureaus starting to accept this payment history from tenants, it's becoming the standard, just like it's coming the standard in California. So it is important for the tenants to understand how important their credit actually is.
Now, how does that work? Is it the tenant gives the landlord the ability or the right to be able to report their rent, and how do you set that up? Like, how easy is that to do?
Well, one, so if you're having your tenant, if you want to have your tenant have their good payment history being reported, you just create a lease on the Front Lobby platform, and then you can send an email to the tenant. The tenant gives consent through the platform. You can also download Front Lobby's lease clauses and application clauses off of their website and include it within your leases to have their their payments reported as on time and in full. Or if you don't need the good payments and you just need the tenant's bad payment history reported, you don't need the tenant's consent to report it.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
The only time you need a tenant's consent is for the good payment history for Equifax and Landlord Credit Bureau, but you also need an order for just damages. So you don't need an order to report a debt either.
Okay, so I can grab these clauses or take these clauses off of the Front Lobby website. Yeah. So I assume there's a link somewhere on there. I take that clause and I put it into the Schedule A of the lease agreement. And it's really for the benefit now of the tenant, because I can report your bad, like if you missed a payment, but if you don't give me the authority or the authorization to report your rent that's being paid on time, well, then that doesn't even get reported.
You got it.
Interesting.
and you're putting them in the system and it's getting paid as on time unless you log in to change it. And you just add the amount of debt that's there. And you can do it for rent and utilities.
Right.
So if you have like a 60-40 split contract in your lease for the tenant to pay their utility bill and they don't, you can report that there as well. And that's something that I'm kind of using with my city right now to get landlords off of the hook from being responsible for tenants' delinquent utility bills, is letting them know we can impact the tenant's credit, which impacts their ability for accommodations if they don't pay the utilities on time and in full.
Right. Now, I know when you told me about TransUnion, you were really excited about it.
Yeah.
Is it just because it's across all three platforms now? Or does TransUnion, is there something more unique about TransUnion?
I was excited because it's all three platforms, but at the same time, there is people that prefer TransUnion reports. Some people, I like Equifax. Equifax is usually my go-to because I find it like a lot of information that we're working with. But to know that you're not escaping anything now, and you know we don't have to worry about a landlord doing their credit check just with TransUnion and not having this information show up, and just knowing that this is something where when I first started telling people about it, that's why I became the ambassador, because it was so exciting to see that we finally have tools. I used to call it a tool. I call it the tool that any landlord in Canada needs to be using. But when you start bringing it to the communities, like, you can't do that. You can't do that. Yeah, here's a legal clause. Here's a legal clause. And then you see more and more information coming out over the years between Equifax and TransUnion now coming out. So it's like, where's those people now? Where's those people now saying you can't do this? So it's nice to see that we've evolved in this in the industry. And I hope within due time and getting ourselves educated, because not everybody's on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok. So a lot of it's going to be now in person when you're meeting people and trying to tell, it's our part of our duty as landlords. If you meet another landlord or property manager, tell them about rent reporting. I think it's the key for just bringing in awareness. And I'm hoping our government does it as well, because I think they started getting into that at the federal level, talking about rent being reported before Trudeau had left. And it was already happening. So I think he was just late to the game. But I think government needs to know it's important, just as important for people living in, social housing and government housing as well.
Yeah, I remember when Trudeau came out and said that, but yeah, you're right. Like, I mean, it's been around since 2012, like you said, right? When did it hit Equifax? Do you remember approximately?
No, I don't.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, but I mean, but
I got Bill 97, Bill 10, and
yeah, you got a lot going on. But bottom line is, it's been available for 13 years, 14 years.
Oh, yeah. And Privacy Commissioner of Canada has a full-on report with Front Lobby. Like they got their blessing. It takes a long time. When you become a consumer reporting agency, it takes time for you to make sure that you're fully compliant. And Front Lobby, I'm proud to say that Front Lobby is fully compliant and has the blessing of the Privacy Commissioner of Canada.
Yeah. And the other thing as well, too, is that there's probably a lot of landlords out there that are just living their day-to-day life. They're going to work. They're taking their kids to sports. They don't have time to be able to dig into all this information. And so, maybe they've got a tenant that's been there for multiple years and they're not looking at this stuff, or they don't even hear about this stuff, right? So you can definitely see how it can sometimes go under the radar until maybe they just happen to show up at an event, or they happen to listen to a podcast and like, oh, I didn't even know this existed.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So what are some of the things that maybe you're doing to kind of get that information out there, or for people to, I mean, obviously you're sitting here, that helps.
Yeah. Sitting here traveling. They want me up in Cornwall. I was just in Hamilton, getting myself to different meetings. There's going to be a monthly meeting happening in Mississauga that's happening that I'm trying to be in person for. I think it's important to keep bringing the awareness.
Yeah.
Doing as many podcasts as we talk about. I'm doing letters to the editor, using my platform to tell everybody about it. And so it's really important for us to be utilizing these tools. We can't expect the government to continue to wait for them to do it. We have to be making sure that we're working with the right partners because it's a business, and it sucks because I know how, like, I have 4 kids. We have basketball and we have soccer. Like it goes on and on and on. But when you finally take the time to sit here, we want to be proactive in learning so that when there is a problem.
Yeah, no, I agree. So for the people that are paying attention, like say the landlords and the tenants, what are you hearing? Is it pushback on this? Is it, okay, no, this is great? And is it different on one or the other side?
The tenants love it. Like they can they can sign up themselves as $4 a month for tenants if they want their landlord to report their good payment history, and they create the lease. They send it over to the landlord to approve it, but the landlord can't report the negative on that account, only the good.
Right.
And the tenants absolutely love it. It's just about making sure that we can also tell tenants about this opportunity for the good ones too. Because really, if we can highlight who our good tenants are, then if you're not on that preferred list, then it's going to help do our job a little bit easier.
Yeah.
And it sucks. We don't really, I think everyone needs a home. But unfortunately, the way that the system is, including our justice system, we can't even make that mistake of getting one just because we wanted to overlook something, because that's usually when the landlords get stuck with a bad tenant.
Yeah. As a new investor that might be listening to this, what do you think? Because, that was the scariest thing. I know before I got into it, like, okay, I get a bad tenant, they're going to ruin my home, or you know what, maybe I shouldn't get into real estate investing at all. What would you say the numbers look like in regards to good tenants, professional tenants, or just, I don't know, normal tenants,
It's hard to say. Like I think it's the economy. We have to watch how the economy is going, because I think desperate times call for desperate measures, and we're going to see people, including government professional workers, lie just to get people inside of their homes, and programs, different organizations lying just to get people inside of their homes. And then once they get them in, that support stops, right? And you're left with that bad tenant.
Right.
So it's really hard to see how things are turning. I think a majority of our tenants out there are fantastic. Yeah. Every single one of mine are amazing tenants and keep the place clean and pays their rent on time. And then we understand things happen, and we can be understanding as long as you're open up to working that out with your landlord, and the landlord being open to it. Don't make it a habit, because we all have bills that need to be paid. But we need to stop having this protective shield over its tenants only, and just know that the landlords have bills that need to be paid too.
Right. Yeah. So I think what you're saying is, really depends on what's happening in the economy. And if unemployment is high, then people become desperate. Yeah. People become desperate, right? There hasn't been any new starts of condos, and, eventually when they're done building, what happened to some of those, say the framers or the crane operators or that whole entire industry?
Yeah.
Is there enough jobs out there for them to be able to switch or go into another profession? And what you're saying is, does that create desperate times?
Yeah.
And so this is where now, and this probably leads into a really good question now, is just making sure you do your due diligence, making sure that you screen your tenants properly. Like, like you're saying, you've got great tenants. For the most part, I've got really good tenants as well too, but it's because I screened them properly. I'd rather let my property sit vacant for 2 months, 3 months, before I just jump at any tenant to put somebody in there that is a professional tenant. Now I'm stuck for like, several months before I can get them out.
And it's not even just about the screening aspect. It's about being the good landlord, because a bad landlord can make a good tenant go bad just because you're not being professional and you're not doing things properly and in a timely manner. So you also got to make sure that we're doing the best that we can to learn what that looks like to be the best landlord. And, am I being, too out to lunch here? Should I really care that they had a roommate? No, bugger off. Like, leave them alone. They're paying on time. They're keeping the place clean. Like, there's a lot of things that newbie landlords are not getting themselves into, and the best way to learn is from other landlords. Other landlords, other property managers. Learn from other people's mistakes. How do you think I've been able to do the stuff that I've been doing all these years? Is talking with landlords and making sure that I'm learning through their mistakes, and I share those learnings to others.
And this is not a game for everybody either.
No, thick skin.
Yeah, it is. Like I got a call yesterday from one of my tenants. They had a sewage backup. And so, like, I'm not going to fix anything because look at my hands. I don't have the skill sets for that. However, I have access to the people that I need to get a hold of quickly. And so, and also too, just been from doing it for a long time, I knew I can call the city. I didn't have to call a plumber. The city goes out there, and within an hour and a half, we had somebody there to clean it up and get it all sorted out. And that's experience. That's also what you're saying, being a good landlord as well too, because if I wasn't, you're right. Like that,
you'd be out of business.
That good that good tenant becomes like a bad tenant because of bad response time. And now his furniture is getting damaged because I didn't act quick enough or have maybe the right, and again, having the right property management company, because maybe you don't want to do it yourself, right? So it's about making sure you educate yourself before you get into this game.
And make sure you screen your property manager just like you screen your tenants.
100%. 100%.
Just because they have that PM name on there, you've got to make sure that you're picking a good one. Because sometimes it's like, yeah, they're great, but you got to see their processes and how they handle things, question them just like you question the tenants. Because, we do need a strong network if you're in this game. And, it's not for the light of heart.
Yeah, I agree. So we started off with front lobby, and then we got into rent reporting. Let's move back into front lobby.
Yeah.
And while we're talking about property management and while we're talking about screening your tenants, how important is front lobby to the tools that you'd have in your toolbox as a landlord?
It's so important. It's probably the most important tool that you can probably have out there.
Yep.
When you're working with having that open dialogue, like we're talking with the tenants and letting the tenants know that this is who I am, this is the rules of the place, this is what I'm going to do for you, it really does set that tone. It really changes their behavior.
Yep.
Even with front lobby, they have these toggles that you can turn on. It's the welcome one. It's the one that reminds the tenant by email that their rent is becoming due. When they get that little reminder, they start paying their rent early. When they get that little message saying that the debt has been reported, it's starting to understand, like, here's the repercussions, here's the consequences to this now. They also have landlord assist. So if you are dealing with a tenant that is being very difficult, start asking landlord assist how you should handle that situation. Put the situation into landlord assist. It will give you some really good information.
What is landlord assist?
It's like it's AI that was programmed by legal professionals so that they're able to help guide landlords through their difficulties when being a landlord.
So that's plugged right into front lobby.
Yeah, right in the front lobby.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And how long has that been around for?
That's came in for a couple of months now. So they have it in Ontario and they have it in BC. Yeah, it's not going to be fully across Canada yet, but definitely in Ontario. They know Ontario is definitely the place that needs the most love and tender care right now.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think front lobby is definitely something that all landlords should have access to. Now,
the thing is, like, you need it because, one, it's in your control. It's in your control when you report, when you don't report.
Yeah.
You don't have to have the tenant pay through the system.
Yeah.
When the tenants pay you, you can update your record to show that the tenant pay you, so it reflects the tenants to let them know that they paid, and I'm now reflecting that to your credit report to show that it's been paid. And then that way they understand there's a way for them to make amends to what's going on. And they don't need to have the tenant. Everyone loves email money transfer. I love email money transfers. So we don't force them to do something that's out of the norm, and we just have it programmed in there, and we don't have to do anything to that system unless it's just a login whenever you choose to report it. I always tell our landlords, like, to reach out to the tenants before they want to report it into the platform, and just report it into the platform for the rent and for the utilities.
And so it's the landlord that does the reporting,
Yeah.
not the tenant.
No.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have the power.
All right. Yeah.
I know, right? I know. We're not used to saying that either. Because we're in Ontario. We normally don't have the power.
Yeah.
But we do have the power with front lobby.
Right. Okay. Yeah. No. It's really, really good changes that are happening for sure. We'll see whether or not some of these landlords come back or if they even stay in the game. Because I can tell you this right now: a lot of landlords are out of the game.
They're out because of that one bad tenant, right? And that tenant, like even for landlords now, they're like, what can I like, too bad this wasn't around when I had that tenant. I'm like, if their debt is like minimum 6 years, like you can go 6 years and up, 7 years in the States, you can still report that to front lobby. For good payment history, you can't. You have to wait for them to be current sitting tenants in order for you to help build their credit with that. But if you do have a past tenant, then yeah, you can go back as far as 6 years reporting that tenant.
What about the different? So let's say now there's 3 or 4 people in that home, and I don't know. So there's 4 people on that lease. Do you put all 4 people on that reporting, or is it just one? Or how does that work?
You can put all of them on there. So like if you have one lease, you can put all the tenants that are listed on that lease, and that's only going to consider it to be one lease reporting. So you can help all of them for just under, because your membership is like $239 for the year, and it includes up to 20 current leases. So you can report all 4 or 5 of those tenants that are inside that unit, and it still would only be considered one lease.
Sorry, so how many leases can you have?
20 with them.
20, but 4 on one, it just counts as one.
Yeah.
Got it.
And then after that, it's like $1 per month per lease if you want, if you have more units.
What kind of pushback do you get from the landlords? Anything?
For the price?
Is it the price, or is it like, oh, okay, I got to log in every month to do it? Like,
no, it's like even when they know you pay $186 to file for an eviction at the landlord and tenant board. So for that price, it's a tax write-off, and you're going to be able to like use that as an expense. Yeah. And you know that you're looking very professional with your tenants, knowing that you're using this system within your business. And we're teaching landlords how to treat their rental properties as a business, because a lot of people are like, it's a hobby. No, it's a business, and we need to make sure that we're doing it very professionally and clearly with the tools, and we look professional.
Yeah. We're kind of getting close to the end here, so I just want to kind of see what your thoughts are in regards to the future of what's coming down the pipeline of for front lobby. What's maybe coming down the pipeline in regards to changes at a municipal level? What do you see? At least maybe some rumblings of conversations that you're seeing and hearing.
Well, front lobby, I'm on the consulting part of like giving them all that crazy stuff in my head, what I want to see as a small landlord in Ontario. So if that's the case, I think it's going to be good things coming to front lobby for sure. Because they're not done. They're definitely not done. They know that landlords need more features and more tools that we can use to keep us organized and keep us moving ahead with having more accountability and transparency tools for our tenants. For municipalities, I think it's a very scary time. I think it's an election happening, and we're starting to see more elected officials play political theater and divide the tenants and the landlords from each other, and trying to overstep the province, like the hatred that they are showing towards the province. So I think it's now almost like party politics coming from the provincial level, working itself into the municipal level, and the municipal level fighting at the provincial level, including unions such as CUPE. Right. The CUPE union tagging along and supporting the NDP, and then vice versa and supporting tenant unions. So there's a lot of changes that are happening. We need to be more on the go. I know a lot of people don't like politics and they find it a dirty word, but it's housing. And if we're in housing, we need to be in politics.
Yeah, for sure. Anything else that you want to add just in regards to thoughts or anything about what's happening in today's world of real estate investing? Like, should people get into this game? What are your thoughts?
I think if you're going to get into this game, you got to start advocating now. You got to advocate with your MPP. You got to advocate with your city councilors, your regional councilors. There's so much that's on the go, and we see a lot of changes and a lot of pushing the responsibilities of levels of government to the private sector, right? Like, we don't mind being a partner, but to upkeep what their failures were. Is like, no, we can't just be your safety net, and we can't be your social agency because your bad housing policies have went sour. But it is going to be, I say, troubling times, and this is why I just told my husband to hold off from wanting to buy that triplex right now.
Right.
I'm like, no. I can say, dude, you wait. we have a lot more work to do to get our government to put better
more
policies.
work to do. However, you put that work and you put that time, and you do see better days ahead.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think it's going to be a great way. We just have to like almost make sure our units that we have now, make sure that they are upkept, put some work into them. I want to see my units being like absolutely fantastic so that, the good tenants are attracted to it. And then once that's done, if the market is a little, riper with changes that are happening, then I'll continue to keep investing. If not, I'll have to start looking outside of Ontario. Can't have all my eggs in one basket.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea and strategy. I mean, if you're in the
And
game right
silver.
now, what's that?
and in silver.
Yeah, extra sure. But I think you're right, though. I think now you've been in the game for a while. What I've been doing is taking a look at the properties that I have and stabilizing them and making sure that they're operating at optimal performance. The tenants are good. They're happy, and it's cash flowing.
Yeah.
And I would say now, for the first time in about 4 or 5 years, I'm now actually looking to get into the game again. So I know you're still kind of holding on, but I'm like, I see opportunity. I see opportunity because I think we're kind of down in that bottom part of the bowl there. However, whatever it is that I decide to do, I'm going to be very strategic about it and make sure that, because I think there's a great opportunity where you can actually put offers in to get people out, but the numbers have to make sense.
And you might have to move into it.
Yeah, maybe
4 months notice.
yeah but anything that you want to add before we wrap it up?
It is like still a good business to be in. I love it. Like I've been able to be retired at the age of 20 because of real estate, so I'm not done and out yet. I just want to make sure that I can see what kind of changes. It's almost like a game of chess. We have to see their cards right now, and I'm seeing a little bit moving towards it, and that's why I'm still not out. I just didn't want to buy this triplex.
I hear you. Well, listen, Kayla, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate you coming in and sharing all of this with us. What's the best way that people can get a hold of you if they want to sit down and have a conversation with you?
Through Gary. Yeah. I got a block on my phone right now. I would say call me, but you gotta text me first. But definitely look me up on social media. I'm kind of at my friends limit on Facebook, so just Instagram and LinkedIn, and then just connect with Gary, and he'll give you my phone number.
Awesome. I won't give you your phone number, but I'll give you something else. All right, Kayla, thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and we will do this again.
For sure.
All right, and keep fighting for the landlords.
I will.
Keeping a nice fair balance.
I totally will.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your support.
All right. Take care.